In this video, we are going to discuss the features of an argumentative essay. Number one, it is a very serious essay and it is the least scoring essay. It's not a safe option to go by. So, if you are still attempting an argumentative essay, try your best to keep the language very formal. If you are planning to attempt an argumentative essay, you require a lot of planning, a lot of logical reasoning and critical thinking. They are absolutely necessary. You cannot write your argumentative essay like you would write a descriptive or a narrative essay. You have to make a lot of planning, you have to develop your logical reasoning, your critical thinking. They are paramount when it comes to writing argumentative essay. Try not to attempt argumentative essays if you're not very sure about the topic. Number two, a logical sequence of ideas is very necessary. One idea presented should automatically lead to the next idea. A logical sequence should be followed. So you cannot just state any idea abruptly. A lot of planning is required to execute an argumentative essay properly. So the logical sequencing of ideas should always be maintained. Do not just state any idea out of the blue, but one idea should automatically lead to the next. The flow should be maintained. Number three, do not sit on the fence. You need a clear understanding of the topic and then you have to write either for or against the given statement in the topic. You cannot sit on the fence. You cannot choose to be neutral and write both for and against. A few points for and a few points for against. No, that is not allowed and you are going to get 0 if you do that. An argumentative essay requires you to take one stance, either for or against. You cannot choose a middle ground. You cannot choose to be neutral. Please remember this. It's a very important point, probably the most important point when it comes to writing argumentative essays. Write either for or against. Do not be neutral. Number 4, the style of writing is super important. How you present your ideas is of paramount importance in an argumentative essay. The tone should be one of persuasion. The tone should be formal, but it should be one of persuasion. For example, think like this. You are a lawyer here. You have a case in your hand and you need to win it. So, you have to be very formal but persuasive. So, the style of writing, the tone is very important. Remember, formal but persuasive tone. Think of yourself as a lawyer pleading either for or against a particular case. Number 5. Ideas or points should not be repeated. You cannot win the case with only 2 or 3 points or 2 or 3 half-baked ideas. If you keep repeating these 2 or 3 half-baked ideas throughout your essay, you are going to be marked very poorly. So, do not attempt argumentative essays if you just have 2 to 3 points in your head or 2 to 3 half-baked ideas which you are probably not even very sure of. Unless you have 4 to 5 strong ideas, at least 4 to 5 points about which you have very clear opinion, very solid knowledge about. Unless you have that, do not attempt an argumentative essay. Just having 2 or 3 ideas and repeating them over and over again is not going to get you marks. So your essay won't be effective like that either. In order to attempt an argumentative essay, I repeat, 4 to 5 solid, strong ideas which you can use fully in your defense is very, very important. Number 6, facts and data. You cannot just mention your ideas or opinions and leave them there like that. They should be backed by data, examples, statistics, true stories, events in the news, and so on and so forth. Do not mention your points in isolation in just one sentence and leave it there. You have to back them up by data, examples, statistics, true stories, events in the news, and so on and so forth. Dedicate separate paragraphs for separate points. That's very, very important. Separate paragraphs for separate points. So if you have 4 to 5 points in your mind, devote 4 to 5 body paragraphs for each of those points. One paragraph for one point. The next point goes in the next paragraph. So a paragraph, not a sentence. You have to elaborate on those points. You have to write 5 to 6 sentences on one point only. So use a lot of data, a lot of examples, statistics, true stories, events from the news, and so on and so forth to support whatever fact or opinion or idea you are stating. But do not use wrong information. Do not use incorrect information. Just do not make news out of your head or statistics out of your head and put them in your essay. Use factually correct information. Unless you are very, very sure about what you are writing, do not attempt argumentative essays. Do not use the wrong information. Be very sure of what you are writing. Everything you write in that essay should be factually correct. Number 7, humor shouldn't lessen the serious tone of your argument. You can add humor if you want, but it shouldn't affect the gravity of your tone or the gravity of the topic. Remember, argumentative essays are very, very serious essays. So your tone has to be very formal and very serious. Even if you're using humor, it has to be witty humor, not some kind of lame humor. So if humor isn't your forte, do not add humor in argumentative essays. Do not add lame slapstick humor in an argumentative essay. So use strong persuasive language, but do not make the tone didactic. Do not be preachy. Do not sermonize. State facts and facts alone and back them up with data, examples, statistics, events from the news, and so on and so forth. Do not force humor if you're not humorous, if humor isn't your forte. Maintain the formal and serious tone of your language of the essay at all cost. Number 8, do not discriminate. Remember, do not hurt other people's sentiments. Do not talk against any religion, caste, creed, color, gender, or community. Do not make negative normative value judgments. Do not use destructive criticism. Destructive criticism should not be used. You should not come across as a mean, intolerant sort of a person. So do not let your personal prejudice taint your essay. Respect all groups, all religions, and all communities. Do not discriminate. Number 9, introduction rules. Since any given argumentative essay topic is a debatable topic, you need to explain the statement first. So first and foremost, explain the statement and then you take your stand. Either you absolutely agree or you strongly disagree. No middle ground should be followed. You cannot choose to be neutral. Either strongly agree or strongly disagree. So if your topic is something like use of mobile phones among youngsters, you cannot just write, in a very neutral way that yeah, it's good, it's also not good, people misuse it. You cannot just jumble up all of these points and take a neutral stance. You have to write either for or against, whether you support the use of mobile phones among youngsters or whether you are against it, and then develop your points based on your stance. You need to draw the interest of the readers right in the introduction itself, just like in every other essay. The introduction is very, very important. It has to be brief, it has to be precise, it has to address the topic directly, and it has to be completely flawless. No grammatical errors, no spelling errors, no punctuation errors. Your introduction has to be flawless, and your introduction has to draw the interest of the readers right in the very beginning. So in order to create that interest, you can begin either with an anecdote, which is a short but true and very relevant story, a story that is very relevant to your topic, or some kind of statistics, but it has to be proven. You cannot just make up that statistics and write it out of your head. You cannot make up anything. This cannot be imaginary. Narrative, descriptive story, they can be imaginary, but an argumentative essay has to be fully based on facts. You have to be sure, 100% sure of each and every word, each and every sentence that you're writing in an argumentative essay. Justify the topic with the help of either an anecdote or some statistics in the very first paragraph, and then you write about your stance, whether for or against, whether you support the idea or whether you are against the idea. No neutrality, no middle ground. Number 10, conclusion rules. Here you might mention possible objections to your views. So if you're writing about the use of mobile phones, suppose you're writing for the use of mobile phones, you're supporting the use of mobile phones among youngsters, then here you might write around two objections to your views. Maybe about how youngsters often get addicted to social media due to overusing mobile phones, or maybe how it is affecting their health in the long run, how addiction to mobile phones is affecting their health in the long run. You might mention maximum two objections to your views here. However, you need to provide very, very strong arguments, examples, illustrations to absolutely nullify these objections. Maximum 2 points of objections. Do not forget that. Do not write more than 2 points of objections, because just like your introduction, the conclusion also has to be brief and precise. So do not write more than 2 points of objections. Maximum 2 points of objections. Do not just state the objections and leave them. Provide strong arguments to completely destroy, to completely nullify those objections. Place your arguments firmly against these objections. Then for the last time, you express your opinion, you write about your stance, whether you agree or disagree, and then you eventually end the essay. But before you end the essay, it's very important to repeat what your stance is, whether you are for or against the topic. After having written about your stance, after having repeated the stance in your conclusion, you can end the essay. But do not forget to include a couple of objections, because every coin has two sides. Every coin has two sides. You cannot be absolutely right about something. One particular thing cannot be all good or all bad. There has to be another side of the coin. So mention maximum two objections, but also provide arguments to nullify those objections. So if you're writing about the use of mobile phones in youngsters, how will you nullify? You can write about the online classes, which are absolutely necessary, especially in times of the pandemic that we are experiencing now. How without mobile phones it would be absolutely impossible to do our classes, take our exams. Our lives would come to an absolute standstill. So these are the ways you can counter the objections. Think of stronger arguments that are stronger than the objections, and state them. Nullify the objections, repeat your stance, and then end your argumentative essay. So, to reiterate whatever I just mentioned in this video, an argumentative essay is not a very scoring essay. So, unless you are very sure about what you are writing, do not attempt an argumentative essay. An argumentative essay should be based on facts and facts alone. You cannot be discriminatory. You cannot allow your personal prejudices to color your essay. It has to be completely based on facts, data, statistics, events in the news, examples, and so on and so forth. True stories, yes, you can mention about true stories too. The next point is that an argumentative essay requires you to take a stance either for or against. You cannot sit on the fence, you cannot choose to be neutral, either for or against the topic. I've told you how your introduction should be. Address the topic directly, take your stance. The conclusion too requires the same. You have to repeat your stance and nullify the objections. That's it. And you have to have at least 4 to 5 points, and you have to develop on those 4 to 5 points in each of the body paragraphs. So if you have 5 points, you have 5 different body paragraphs. 1 paragraph for 1 point. So elaborate on those points in separate paragraphs. That's it. That's all for this video. Hope you learned something new from this video. Hope this video helped you in some way. See you once again in the next video. Thank you.